Get down. What's up, guys? This is Kareem and GaryW, and welcome to the second episode of the Get Down podcast. Really good feedback on episode 1, so, we're here to do it again, round 2.
Man, good to be back. I love doing this. We get to, shoot the shit back and forth, go over a couple things that are on our minds throughout the week. And, it's just a really good convo that we get to have actually on mic that we would probably have anyway.
Yeah, and these are conversations that we generally do have with each other throughout the week. So this is good that we can just kind of share a little glimpse into what we talk about either on our business calls or in our personal calls. So,
it's great because I think that like back in the day when I was a younger DJ coming up, that I would, what I would pay to hear people that are older than me that have been through, the ringer in the industry, like what I would give to sit down and hear them BS for a little while, So I think this gives good perspective to young guys coming up.
Yeah. So the first thing I wanted to talk about, I wanted to just, jump up and down, put my hands in the air because my unemployment has finally come through.
Man, that makes one of us out here. Jeez.
I literally filed the week after bars shut down. So that was about 2 months ago, 8 weeks. And last night, right, kind of late, I got an email saying, hey, you can go in and now claim your weekly benefits, which it's not a lot of money. It's like, it is not a lot of money.
Right.
But you also get the $600 pandemic insurance also on top of that. So that makes it a little more bearable. I did the math. It's still not going to cover my expenses per month, but at least I'm not constantly digging out of my savings. So a positive, something great to end the week with and go into the weekend with. So
I think, you know what? I was just going over this, and the date that I applied was March 15th. And that was 12 days prior to the pandemic insurance all went through, that all passed through legislation. And I think because I applied so early, that negatively impacting me in the long run. So now I have to like go back and kind of restart, being that gig, the gig worker assistance has now kicked in since then.
Yeah, who knows the process and how anything gets put through, especially like these local governments, and the websites are a mess and you can't get a hold of anybody. And I don't know, I was getting a little down, hoping, thinking maybe it wasn't going to come through, but my message to everyone is hang in there. I think it will come through. It's just a matter of time. It sucks, but it'll come through. But with that being said, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about how we can make money, because if this insurance never did come through, like, what are we going to do? So I know you and I have talked about some ideas. I mean, we just literally talked about something off air before we started recording that, like, I think could be a viable business for you if you wanted it to be.
See, you know what? You sit back when things like this happen and you try to explore ventures that that you have interest in, and things that you've thought of, that you might not have had time for prior to. So personally, interior design's big for me. And like, repurposing and refurbing old furniture and things like that. And I apply it in, obviously my house here and then my house up in Montclair. And, I go back and forth, like, will somebody pay for this? Is it worth my effort and my time in trying to, market that, and then also, I was a teacher. So being a teacher, you kind of, I miss dealing with the kids on a daily basis. So like maybe trying to do a DJ school for the kids in my community. I live in a, 4,000 or 5,000 person community that has a lot of kids. So, that's also an option, as things start to kind of get back to normal a little bit, where you're allowed to have a little personal contact. Like those are all options. Like, I mean, what are some other things that you're thinking of doing to try to make some money?
I've really been kind of trying to think along the DJ lines. Just different. I mean, obviously we have something that we're working on for Get Down. So that's, taking up a good amount of our time, and hopefully that'll be a viable option even if there is no actual DJ gigs happening. I've thought of some other ideas too, DJ related, that I'm not going to divulge on this podcast, but you and I can talk about off air, because I think I came up with a really good idea that I think we could actually do. And I think we could make some money off of. And I would love to hear what you think. I'm not going to do it on air though, because I don't want to give away my idea.
Something that, a friend of ours, Dramos, talks about all the time, like just staying creative. People that are creative and innovative and, have the drive will be able to prosper in situations like this. Right.
Yeah. It's a matter of having the ideas, but having more so the work ethic to actually execute those ideas. Right. And it's just, to me, it's more about thinking about what are the things that I am good at? What do I know that people might want to learn from me? Or what can I, like those are the ways that you can make money. So think about your skills, whether it's, for you, it's teaching and design and DJing. So like, how can you make money doing those things? Right. And I feel like if you're doing something that you're passionate about and you care about, the money will come if the product is good. And like, I think I said to you, like, if you decided to go take free furniture or very cheap furniture and put your own twist on it and sell it, I guarantee you could make money because you're good at it and you like doing it. And the final product always comes out really nice.
And you know what? When you are passionate about something and you have a general knowledge of it, obviously your final product will be good because, you do care about it. Right. So, you care what you're putting out there in the world. It's just like DJing. Like, yeah, you're not going to start off making, $100,000 or $200,000, but, in time, since you love it and you put time into it and passion into it, then the money comes eventually. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree. But yeah, so I think, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, so let's talk about, speaking of innovation and, things that are new out there in the world. We got into a DJ battle, right? You want to kind of expound upon how that came about?
Sure. So one of our promoter manager, he's a promoter of DJs and venues, and he's just a positive person in the scene. Our boy Mark G came to us with an idea, and he was like, hey, I'm trying to do something where we pull music categories out of a hat, and we have two DJs. We did two tournaments. The first one we did was just playing 5 songs. So song for song, similar to like what Swiss and Timbaland are doing with the Versus, where guys are playing kind of their catalogs and you're keeping score as far as, who won, quote unquote, the battle. So we did something similar. We picked 30 categories and pulled them out of a hat, and DJs went head to head. It was super cool. Me and So Wavy made it to the finals. He defeated me in the finals, which I am very salty about. But the second tournament, we wanted to do a little bigger and better. So what we ended up doing was giving each DJ a 5-minute DJ set once the category was pulled, which was super cool. We saw a lot of creativity. You were involved in it. So, I mean, what do you think of it being a part of it? I broke my elbow, so I have not been able to DJ for the last couple of weeks.
So I'm going to give you my initial thoughts of it, and then, kind of how my mind changed as the battle went on. So when I initially heard about it, I'm like, 5-minute sets. Like, this is going to be, it shouldn't be too difficult. I should be able to get my point across in 5 minutes. And then I did my first one and I was like, holy shit, I got to go back and now like really rethink this entire thing. Right. Because realistically, in the club, you'll get away with what these days? 1:30 of a track, you get through maybe a little intro, verse, hook. And like during this thing, it was like, somebody's watching you live on Instagram. You're trying to really bang out stuff to keep people interested. I found myself watching other battles and being like, well, he's played this for 35 seconds and now I'm bored. Like, that's only 35 seconds. Like, think about how ridiculous that is. But, having the knowledge of, human time, attention span now is about 7 seconds. So having that knowledge, you really got to be out. Like, you're 16 seconds or 30 seconds in and that's it and out. Right. So as the battle went on, my mind definitely changed and my approach shifted. The preparation was probably some of the most intense preparation that I've had for DJing in years. Like, I mean, I was slamming 40, 50 tracks in a crate of, let's say, Bad Boy, right? You're throwing 40 tracks in a Bad Boy crate, and you're trying to, like, all right, well, how am I going to attack this to keep people interested and impress the judges as well?
Yeah. So some of the categories were Bad Boy, Jay-Z, Dipset, G Unit. We did R&B categories, rock categories, deep house, EDM. So it was really wide ranging, reggaeton, like all kinds of different genres of music, which was cool because obviously there was, 16 DJs and everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. So like, depending on what got pulled, played a part, but also showed how versatile DJs could be, And you brought up the preparation part of it. The DJ who won the battle, DJ Frankie, shout to him. He told me
Big shout out to Frankie. I mean, Frankie, he crushed it. I was actually, I was going out of my way to tune into him, from round one. I saw him in round one, and then after that, I'm like, oh, Frankie's on. We gotta go check this out.
Yeah. So I was judging the battle, and afterwards, after it was all done, Frankie texted me. He was like, dude, like, I had fun really preparing. And Frankie's like, he's been in the game. Like, he's an OG DJ in the tri-state area. He's a radio DJ. Like, he's accomplished a lot. And for him to be like, I was preparing folders to do this, and it's all about preparation, like, said so much to me, because for nightlife, like DJing out, it's the same thing. The more prepared you are, the better you're going to be in your set. So even though you kind of have an idea of what works and what you're going to play, if you're refreshing your sets and preparing, it's going to be an even better set. And like, we know that in our heads, but hearing him say that for an Instagram live DJ battle that there's no prize, it was just for fun. Right. Like, that really said a lot to me.
I think that I know that we prepare a lot more when we're going into a new venue, right? Or, you're dealing with a new crowd. But when you have a residency, sometimes you get complacent. It's just human nature.
Yeah.
So, the longer you're at a residency, like, you're not prepping as much. You're kind of going into that as your layup for the weekend, and you're really prepping for your other gigs. So when we went into this, like, I personally knew that I was DJing in front of people that have never heard me DJ before, right? But they're also my peers. So like, it was really important to go in and show that, hey, like, I can handle, DJing and handle different genres, etc.
Yeah, and like, I heard a lot of DJs that I knew a name, but I've never actually heard DJ. Like Frankie, I've known Frankie. I've talked to Frankie. He's come out to some parties. I've never actually heard him DJ. So to hear him play, I'm like, damn, he's really good. This is cool. And the same thing with the younger guys. It's like, I've never heard this guy play. I've seen his name. I see him post, on Instagram and stuff, and him on social media. But it was great to hear, even if it was only for 5 minutes, you could hear if a DJ can play, and based on the selections of music, if they know what they're doing. So
please, if you're in our industry, all you need is 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You do not have to sit around for an hour to know that this guy knows what he's doing.
The battles were awesome, man. And I was kind of sad that I wasn't able to compete in them, because I mean, like, the quick mixing, jam a bunch of songs and do it creatively is like what I love to do, especially for hip hop music. So I thought I could have done well. So I was a little sad, but it was fun to be involved no matter what. Judging was really, really hard.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be in your shoes. That's for sure. Because that was not, at the end of every round, like, I would listen to guys and I'm like, it all honestly came down to, in the later rounds, would be more personal preference.
It was personal preference. In the earlier rounds, a lot of it to me was just cleanliness of mixing.
Right.
I mean, like, that was kind of how it started. But once we got to, like, even the second round, it was a lot harder,
Yeah, Mark was saying that while he was judging. He was like, "Oh, this is becoming extremely difficult already."
Yeah.
We're only in the second day.
Yeah, I mean, so what we had talked about, what was cool about this was, like we said, we were like digging through old music. A lot of the hip hop stuff that we kind of grew up on and loved, we don't necessarily play as much anymore, or at all, to be honest. Like, some Jay-Z, like maybe some Biggie, but like, you can't. Are you playing any G Unit out there really, other than the 50 Cent hits?
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, and I dug in there and found like some R&B track, like R&B G Unit tracks that would like, you know, you'd hit and grab people's ear early. Like if you
Yeah.
were playing like, you know, at 10 p.m. somewhere, you know?
Yeah. It was fun to go listen to a lot of that music and kind of incorporate it in some of the crates that we are using currently. So, you know, it was cool to hear new music. It was cool to research and prepare. I'm sorry, older music.
Right.
So like I bring up the question, being that all these DJs are getting to be creative and play old music and play what they want, do you think that's going to translate once the bars and nightclubs open?
So I think about this in a couple different ways, because as I was doing live sets at the beginning of this, I was doing them daily, and I was priding my live sets on being different every day and being things that I never would play out in the club, right? And the feedback of I really appreciate hearing things that I wouldn't hear in other places is a crazy departure from the drunk girl yelling, I want to hear Drake every 3 seconds, right?
Right.
So, you know, maybe this establishes a lane where people are open to hearing different music when they go out. But, you know, as we've said before, the loudest person in the place isn't always speaking for the majority.
Right. It's just that one person that's super annoying and vocal about it.
They're throwing ice at you at the Ashford, et cetera. You know, so I hope that this brings a different approach to how people are consuming music as a whole. You know, not how they're consuming it, like, you know, is it Spotify, is it iTunes, et cetera, but because I have all of this range, I can grab any type of music, and I'm realizing that DJs know this. They don't just know the top 40 stuff. That, you know, they can go in with a different mindset when they're entering the club or the bar.
Yeah, I hope that that's the case, and I hope it's opened my eyes a little bit to try that stuff more. I think. Obviously, I won't really know till I have a crowd in front of me and I'm testing it out. But I think like leading up to quarantine, I was super burnt out and just like DJing so many gigs and, you know, working a lot with Get Down and making music and just pulled in a lot of directions. And I just felt like I was kind of going through the motions and just playing the shit that I thought people wanted to hear and not getting as creative or having as much fun as I was. And I think it was because I wasn't going and taking as many risks and like playing stuff that I really like. Not everywhere or not every night, but I think for me that's going to be really important coming out of this is just trying new things and trying old things that used to work that hopefully can work again.
So when you play like that, like I played like that every weekend when I had my residency, right? Because I knew my crowd was receptive to a little bit of play.
Same with my Thursday residency. I would say the same thing for.
You know what?
I can do whatever I want.
Same type of place. So
and that's why I have the most fun there.
I'm not. So we're not talking about, you know, the 3,000 person nightclub, you know, that they're coming there for a sound, right? We're talking about probably something that's caught in between a nightclub and a bar, right? And I feel like those crowds are a little more receptive to, you know, a variation, but you can only step like 2 ways left or 2 ways right. You don't want to get caught up in playing 30 minutes of weird shit. So knowing what your boundaries are while you're doing this is huge. You could do 2 songs, you could do 3 songs, but then reel it in with something else and maybe revisit that weird stuff in 20 minutes, you know, or 30 minutes. I feel like this way people's ears are really trained to hear top 40, you know, right now, like the Drakes of the world and all that stuff that's on the radio. Hit them with a 50s track, you know, sing along thing, like in the middle of it, and then bring them back to, you know, reel them back in. That's the fun of what we do. We're able to explore all of these different genres. And I don't feel like enough DJs are taking those chances. And that's why everybody is so tuned into when I walk into a bar, I'm going to hear this and this and this, and this is what I want to hear, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think a couple different ways. Like, I think a lot of the feedback that we're getting from online stuff that we're doing currently is more from people who are in nightlife. And those people understand music better and, care more. And I think they want to hear us do different things. But I also think that the average club goer, like, they want to hear the newest Drake record no matter what. And it's like, how many times in a matter of 2 months can I play the same hit without being sick and tired of playing it? Like,
well, but see, my answer to that is then back up that Drake record either before it or right after it with something off the wall that you want to hear. You know what I mean? That'd be like one of those tracks.
Yeah.
You know?
Listen, I'm playing devil's advocate right now because to me, the O tracks and doing something different is what people remember from the night. Like the next day, they'll be like, man, we got fucked up last night. Do you remember when the DJ played this and the place went fucking crazy? And it was like a punk rock song or like Sweet Caroline or some sing along or some rock song that most people aren't playing anymore.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've always found that, like, when you take the best record and you put it up against something that, that isn't normally played by everybody, I think that's the most effective and most memorable way to do it because everybody's waiting for that song. So if you follow it with something off the wall, that's really memorable, especially if you can mix it well, or, if it has some semblance of similarity. You got to get creative. That's our job.
Do you think customers are going to be nicer, let's say, afterwards, being that we've all been cooped up for so long and they're just going to be appreciative of be out and hearing music? Or do you think it's going to be the same, like, phone in the face, zero fucks situation?
I'm going to go with the phone in the face, zero fucks situation.
Yeah, I probably agree too. I don't want to agree, but I do.
You know what? I unfortunately see that aggressivity down here already. Like it's on the day to day. Nothing's changed. You know what? There's unfortunately not a, how would you say, like a thought of togetherness on this. Not down here, at least. Maybe it's different up there because you guys were affected more directly.
Yeah. So Gary's in Florida. I'm in North Jersey, and yeah, I mean, I would say the number of cases is probably, I don't know the numbers, but if I had to guess, it's probably drastically different.
So we have about, as of today's recording, which would be what was it, May 8th?
Yeah.
I think like 40,000 cases, which is like nothing compared to like what you guys have. I mean, you have to remember that you guys are 5 minutes from New York City.
Yeah.
10 minutes from New York City.
I mean, we have 134,000 in New Jersey alone.
Right. And then New York is
New York
crazy.
is 327,000.
Yeah. So think about the percentages there.
Yeah. There's 30,000 deaths compared to your 40,000 cases in New York, New Jersey compared to Florida, which is pretty crazy.
Right. So, I could see where you guys would have a little more like togetherness and, this has all really affected every single person in this area. We're down here, like people don't even think like people don't even think like it's a thing because it's not affecting anybody they know.
Yeah.
We live in and not to go off like on like a preachy thing here, but like, we live in a society where like, if it doesn't affect me, then it's not really happening. And that's really unfortunate. Like empathy has become really few and far between. Right. So,
yeah. And I think also like the fabric of what makes us Americans is that we are a little defiant. So, that's why we have 1 million more cases than the number 2 country with coronavirus. So, It sucks up here, definitely. And I think we're feeling it a little harder and it might be a little delayed compared to other areas of the country. But hopefully we get out of this sooner than later. I mean, we spoke to an owner today of one of the venues that we book out, and he had said he had heard July. I mean, the last time I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, he was telling me June. So who really knows? But
you know, I mean, that being said, it being May, you know, we have the opportunity to, like we were saying at the start of this thing, you know, get creative, like do things that you are really interested in, that like if you're not working right now and you have the opportunity to get into your side hustle or what you thought might want to be your side hustle down the road, like dive in. Don't be lazy. Like, you know, I'm sure there are things in place where, like, you know, even if you're not making money, like find creative ways to do your side hustle on the cheap, right? I mean, because that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. Like, you know, what kind of furniture can I find for like either free or like $5-10 and
I'm
you know,
sure you can find
repurpose.
stuff that people are just trying to get rid of, to be honest. Now, is it, you're gonna have to sift through that and find stuff that's gonna work, but
This is the beauty of your Craigslists and your, you know,
yeah.
Facebook marketplaces and whatnot.
I mean, for me, I've said this before, but I'm loving this time because I'm able to do things that I haven't had time for at all. So I've literally been going through my Serato from day one of loading tracks onto this computer.
Let's be real, Cream. You have like a little bit of a homebody nature anyway. So this really works out nicely.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when we're working 7 gigs in a week, like I like the time at home. And the older I get, the more I really do enjoy like simple things. Like I like to read, I like to go to the pool and tan, like the relaxation things, because
Sounds like you should be living in Florida, not me.
our lives are always go 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 go, nightlife, talking to people, partying, drinking, like it's a lot.
It's exhausting.
So it's exhausting. So I'm cherishing this to be able to work on music. I've literally been in Ableton every single day, nearly every day of the last 2 months. It's like, it's amazing to me.
It's
I
kind
was
of fun.
lucky. I was lucky to be in Ableton once a week when we were going fully. So
that was your number one complaint.
Yeah.
Was I need a day to work on music. You know, I don't have enough time to work on music. So, you know what? I mean, I actually found myself in Ableton last week a bunch, but I also realized that when I was doing that, that the other tasks that I was trying to get done, I was like more interested in, you know, working on music than I was in trying to like get other stuff done.
Yeah, it's a rabbit hole. And, you know, you open that Ableton and you're like, oh, let me just fix this one part of the song. And like 2 hours later.
I don't think I talked to my girlfriend for about, you know, 16 hours last week because I was 20 hours last week because I was just sitting in the office trying to get stuff done on Ableton. So, you know, it is a rabbit hole, but you know, something that we talk about a lot, like you have to find balance, you know, and I think you're really good with balance because you stick to your calendar a lot. Something that I just don't do. It's not in my nature. And, you know, finding the balance to work in Ableton and then go work on Get Down stuff and work on Get Down University stuff and then work on DJ Cream marketing stuff. Like that's really important to success to any business, really.
Yeah, and it's you know, everyone has the ways that they get that stuff done. For me, I like to block out time. So I'm like, I like to say on Monday, hey, on today, we're gonna work on Get Down stuff from 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. And then at 1, I'm gonna make music for 2 hours. And then at 3, I'm gonna go take a walk because I need to get out of my room and go do something outside or go exercise when I could. You know, like I like having that schedule and clear goals for my day. And that's kind of how I work. And you know, it works for me and I like it. So,
you know, especially for younger guys that are on the come up and trying to figure out, you know, their path and what they want to do. The number one, I always go back to this, no matter like what article I'm writing, what you know, blog post I'm writing for our Medium page, or, you know, I always go back to, you have to know yourself. Like if you don't know yourself, like your business is going to fall apart, right? You have to know how you work, how you learn, you know, what is your most effective ways of working and applying what you know. And then, you know, once you know all that stuff, everything else really falls into place super easy. Like I know that you work really well being blocked out, having like out, like I work better just kind of when I'm inspired. I could be standing in the living room and like have a feeling of, oh, like I need to go do this. I need to go work with my hands for a little while. Like, and I'll go do something for an hour, you know?
Yeah.
So you really have to know kind of yourself and what you can get done, effectively, when you need to.
Yeah, and there, especially during this time, we need to have a balance of stuff that makes us happy, that is just personal, whatever that might be, whatever your passions are outside of your job or your brand or your work or whatever it might be. I think that stuff's really important now too. So it's all about a balance, and it's all about having the work ethic to get whatever you're trying to accomplish done.
I think a lot of these things that we're talking about currently right now are going to be repetitive themes as we move forward with this, because you know what, it is super important now, and to find happiness when you are locked down and not to go stir crazy. But realistically, at the end of the day, you should really be happy with what you're doing whenever. Even if you're able to go out and go to the grocery store and go to the bar and work regularly, you should still come home and be inspired to do the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
So
I think it's just hard. It's harder that we're trapped and we can't go socialize and be with friends and go to restaurants. Like, there's the simple things that, it's tough to not be able to do that. And certain people need that more than others. So, when you're working on something and you're starting to feel sad or unhappy or stressed or whatever, like, take a break, go read a book or go do whatever makes you happy. Watch TV if that's what it is. Like, whenever I'm stressed out, I'll literally grab my Kindle and read for 20 minutes. Like, I'll go sit outside 20 minutes and it'll just reset me. And I come back and I'm like, oh, all right, I'm good.
Right. I mean, that just goes back. You just got to know yourself, know what you need, right?
Yeah.
In these tough times, for sure.
So something else that I wanted to talk about, because we haven't talked about this offline, but I've found myself listening to like completely different music than I was listening to before quarantine. And I don't know if I don't know why. It's weird for me. I've been listening to like a lot of the throwback hip hop, and that stuff all spawned from preparing for the battle.
Right.
But like, I would go for a bike ride and I'd be like, I'm going to go listen to Avicii for an hour, which I haven't listened to in years. Or I'm going to go listen to like some super chill, like indie house rock vibe. I don't know. Like, I've been just listening to different things. I don't know if I don't know why, but I'm wondering what you've been listening to and if it's different from when you're just working full time.
I have when we're working, 4 or 5 days a week. I have my days, so like Thursday and then Friday, especially when the new music comes out, I'm listening to club related stuff. Outside of that, I'm probably a bad person to ask for this, because outside of that, I'm listening to Grateful Dead constantly. But other than that, from what you said, I feel like I know that music is a comforting thing for people. People are going through happy times, they put on certain types of music. People are going through sad times, they put on certain type of music. Not to get all psychological on it, but like, people are comforted with music. So especially in times like this, you'll probably learn like, well, I'm listening to this, I must be feeling this way. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of relate. I've been digging into some of my older stuff I haven't really gotten a chance to listen to in a long time. When I was teaching, I would try to sneak some of that stuff into my stretching portions of teaching, just to, kind of not only expose other people to this new music, but also just to relate to the ways that I was feeling at the time. So for me, music is very emotional. It's something that goes along with the way you're feeling that at that particular time.
Yeah, I think listening to music definitely brings out feelings, and it also makes you think of certain times in your life. So I feel like I can relate listening to like Jay-Z when I was in high school, or like, I don't know. There's just certain things where like I'll hear the Nas album, a certain Nas album, and I'll be like, I remember driving to baseball practice, listening to this album. So I think there's just like an emotional connection and a chronological connection to the music that you're listening to So it makes you think of like certain times. And if they're happy times, that's great because it's going to make you feel happier, right?
Right, right. I mean, it's funny because last week we talked about the summer of '96 and just the amount of music that was out then. And every time that I listen to that, any of those albums, there's got to be like 15 albums. Like literally any of those albums, I think about hanging out in the park in the town that I grew up in, you know?
Yeah.
So that's like, so that stuff, right, especially during times like this, it's comforting. It's awesome to hear that stuff. You could sit back, relax, puts a smile on your face, and that's, that's the beauty of it.
All right. So, bringing it back to an argument that was brought up basically due to the battle that we talked about earlier in the show. So, one of our friends hates Drake and claims that he's not a rapper and he's nowhere near his top 5, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of like disparaging remarks about Drake as an artist. So I just wanted to bring it up and kind of get your opinion on Drake and where you place him in the whole hip hop pop discussion.
I mean, so the one thing that stands out to me the most is last week I'm prepping for I was actually prepping for 2000s pop, and then I was also prepping for another folder. I forget what it was. And I'm like, well, I came across Drake and I'm like, do I put him in 2000s pop music or, can I put him in, this other hip hop folder? And I literally I was in the middle of texting you, like, can I put Drake in pop, or like obviously his pop, but like, or can I put him in hip hop? And like, he doesn't really fall in a category, but I also think that that's the genius of it, right? Like, if you can create music and create something that somebody can't put a label on, that shows your worth in like, exponentially. Right. Drake's just one of those guys that crosses over, and he can cross over a million times. When I was super into indie music in the late 2000s, he was jacking like Rat-a-Tat, which I'm sure you've never heard of. He was jacking Leaky Lee, who nobody really knew, is a Canadian indie artist. He was jacking all of their beats and throwing them on mixtapes back then in 08, 09. So it's not, I think he knew from the get-go that, he was going to be different and he was going to like bring something different to the pop/hip hop scene. Now that plays to the he's not hip hop argument. I realize that, but I think, there are plenty of records that you can cite that make him for sure hip hop, because there was a bunch of stuff that I was finding from 08, 09. And I'm like, I can't put this in my pop playlist. Right.
I mean, I have a strong opinion on this because I personally think I put Drake in my top 5, and I'm a hip hop purist, and I think he's a hip hop artist. Now, I think the genius of Drake is that he also does the thing for the ladies. He sings. He makes records for Billboard Top 100, because how many hits does he have? He's a pop artist that can rhyme, whether he writes his own rhymes or not. I don't care, because to me, he's an artist that puts out good music that I want to listen to. I think he gets a bad rap because he's not like your prototypical I'm from the streets rapper. I went through this hard time. Like, he came from, I think, a good family. He was on Nickelodeon, on Degrassi. So I think he has like, his street cred might not be so high. And I think that's why people kind of knock him a little bit. But at the end of the day, my man has records. The guy has records.
He doesn't miss, as we say.
He doesn't miss. Listen, I don't like the Tootsie Slide record. I'm not into like choreographed dance nonsense, but
yeah, but he's putting shit out that listen, what's hot? What's your hot social media right now?
Right, TikTok. So he made a song for TikTok, literally. And for as a business and a brand, it's brilliant.
Of course. Brilliant. You think him and like his, his entourage didn't walk into a room and say, we're going to make a TikTok song. Boom, there it is. Like, you're not worth that much money without that knowledge.
Yeah,
right?
and I think the business side of it and the branding side of it, the marketing side of it has been incredible. And he gets knocked for that, and he gets knocked for being considered like corny or I don't know, too mainstream. I don't know what it is, but
You could call me corny from here to all the way up the block with people throwing shit at me. Just give me his paycheck at the end of the week. You know, like like, are you kidding me? Like street cred? Come on. Like these are ridiculous arguments, usually of people that just wish they were getting paid like that. That's really what it comes down to. Because you know what? I mean, we've seen plenty of rat beefs be established because of this. You know, the Jadakiss 50 Cent beef, which actually I didn't even put in my beef crate last week. That was all stemmed off of 50 didn't have street cred, right? That like he got shot and he was playing it up, but he was ratting people out, yada yada yada. You know, so street cred's bullshit when it comes down to making records. No, are people really making records not to make money? Maybe some people are, but like realistically in the rap game, like these guys are all you're trying to tell me that
especially now.
People aren't trying to drive the nicest car and have the nicest house.
Yeah, I mean, rappers were
street cred. I'm sorry.
Rappers were talking about that since day one.
That was right. Who had the nicest rope chain? That was that's 1981 disc records.
Like Jay-Z had a song, "Money, Cash, Hose." like
you know what? Like, yeah, you're correct. You know, you're right in the sense where, you know, his versatility has gotten him to where he is.
Well, he's beyond just being a rapper, and that's why people hate on him, because he's not. He's more than that.
He's positioned himself like that since day one, so it's not like he came off. You know, he was super hood, and now he's trying to be commercial. That's not at all what happened. He started commercial.
Yeah. I think he's a super unique artist, and that's part of the reason why he's popular and people like him. His music is dope. His lyrics like say something generally. And he's versatile, like you said. He's got diss records. He's got songs that he sings. He's got stuff for the ladies. He's got hip hop club records. Like he's got everything.
He's got everything. And the fact that we're sitting here talking about him is only validation that he's one of the best that's ever done it. I mean, you have arguments based around only the best that have ever been in their field, right? People are going to yell and scream about LeBron James and Michael Jordan all day. We know that.
All day.
Right? All day long.
We live it.
Right. I mean, and you know, that only applies to people that are at the top of their game. So anybody that doesn't like it, you know, you're wrong. This is what it is.
We'll have our unsaid guest that was talking trash about Drake on the show at some point, I'm sure, so he can defend himself. But honestly, I would love to have another opinion on this particular topic, but I don't know. I think he's in the minority on this one. I could be wrong, but
I think asking us is tough because we look at things from the business aspect. Probably, I don't know about first, but you look at the business aspect. You also look at the product you're putting out, right? So he's putting out a top quality product, no matter what field you're looking at or what genre you're looking at, right? And then after that, you know, is it making money, right? I mean, I think that's the first two ways that we look at things. Is it quality, and is it making money? He's killing it on both fronts, so yeah. you can't argue with it. You know what? And when you do the numbers, he's top 5. Like when you do the numbers, he's top 5.
Wow, there it is. I was going to ask you. I'm glad to hear that out of your mouth.
Yeah, but because whenever he puts something out, I'm tuning into every track. I'm doing an old school scan of the entire album.
I'm going to say this right now. He could never make another record and still be top 5 for me. Just go listen to his records. Go listen to his albums.
His longevity is insane, as you know, in relation to the greatest ever. You know, when you're talking about Biggie and you're talking about Tupac, you're talking about Big L, they have a very short career span, right? Now you're talking about Jay-Z's been out now, say, for 24 years, and Drake's been out for something like 13, I guess it would be now. That's insane to be relevant and put out good content for that long. You know, Biggie and Tupac did it for 3-4 albums. Biggie 2, and then Tupac, what, 3 or 4? I don't know. Do you want to count the New York years for Tupac and, you know, Strictly from a What was the first one?
I don't know. I was never really a Tupac guy, so I don't know the albums.
Like I Get Around was on it and whatnot, and Old School, and, you know, a lot of the New York records that he put out. Like, if you want to count those, he had like 4 or 5 records. But you know, these guys are putting out 10, 12, 13 records. Like, it's insane. Or albums, I should say, not records. You know, so to sit here and tell me that they're not top 5 when they're the highest earning in their field and in their genre, you're out of your mind. Done.
All right, so I feel like this is a good point to wrap it up. I'm glad we got to have that conversation. So thank you guys for tuning in. Episode 2 of the Get Down with myself, DJ Cream, DJ GaryW. A couple things we have coming up in the next week or so. On Friday, May 15th, we are throwing a Zoom party. So a virtual party. All the proceeds of the party are going to Staten Island University Hospital. One of our DJs, his sister works there, so we want to show some love. So we have an Eventbrite set up. It'll be in the show notes, or you can DM us at Get Down DJ Group, and we can send you the link. But all you need to do is donate $1, $5, $10, whatever you feel is necessary. We're asking for $1. And we got a bunch of Get Down DJs playing. I'll be hosting. And it'll be a good time. We're going to get dressed up. We'll make some drinks. We'll have some fun. We'll listen to good music. We're doing it on Zoom, so the sound quality is going to be really good. And looking forward to it. So Friday, May 15th, the Eventbrite link will be in the show notes, or hit us up at Get Down DJ Group.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that event. Definitely gonna on camera make a couple of cocktails, show you guys how to make a proper Manhattan. Really throw down a nice set.
Yeah, we like our Manhattans.
It's gonna be a fun time, and it's for a good cause. So I hope everybody tunes in.
The other thing I just want to touch on, we have our Slack channel. And basically on Slack, we've created a DJ community where we're sharing ideas, answering questions. We create content and put out content every single day. So whether it's a video or a curated DJ crate on a specific genre, DJ Cream edits, DJ GaryW edits, some of the Get Down team edits, all kinds of cool stuff on there. If you want to be a part of that, again, the link, the invite will be in the show notes. Also, you can hit us up at Get Down DJ Group. But thank you guys for tuning in, and we look forward to recording our next episode, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks, Gar.
All right, catch you guys next week.
Peace out.